Hey everyone, it's Bill Shot back in another video, and I just want to go over a big announcement that the developers made just now on the future of the game over the next couple of months. So we're just going to dive right into it. If you do enjoy the content, be sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right into it. All right, here we are. We're at the Ace official Discord, and I'm just in the game updates tab, and we have the new announcement that was just released about a couple hours ago. Very, very important announcement. As you probably understand from the title of this video, Guild vs. Environment as well as Real-Time Arena are coming to the game. Now, before we jump into those massive announcements, I really quickly want to mention this that was posted by Ace. The new event, something similar to the unique event, to the Grell's Fire Slam event. Not necessarily farming charms and all that, but at least it's going to be a unique event that's going to be a temporary event with its own shop. As you can see from this, screenshot here, we have a pirate store on the bottom left. We have a temporary event. It looks like it's going to be for 14 days. And it looks like we get some sort of points, and we fight a specific opponent every day. It's probably going to be rotating, not sure. And then we collect points and stuff, and maybe that unlocks some new things or something. I don't know if it's a leaderboard or whatever. There's not too much events, or at least information about this event yet. It looks fun. I like to see these temporary, cool little events that pop up. So excited to see it. This is obviously a small portion of what's to come in the next 2 months. So I just want to quickly mention the Guild vs. Environment and the Real-Time Arena and kind of what this means for the game in general. So first off, if we read this post, we can see that in the next 2 months, the Ace team will be introducing a Guild vs. Environment as well as a Real-Time Arena game mode. That means in 2 months, we're going to have RTA and some sort of Guild vs. Environment, whether that's like fighting a boss, whether it's a labyrinth mode like Summoner's War, unsure. I am super excited for this. I know that some of you are going to be super excited for this, for the Real-Time Arena portion, and some of you will be excited for the Guild vs. Environment portion. I'm glad to see that there's one PvE and one PvP game mode. I think that's a really, really nice balance, especially for those people who are interested in more PvE content and not necessarily excited about Real-Time Arena. If we click this little link that Ace puts in here, it should jump us to the announcement that Ace made a while back when global launch was happening. And the announcement mentioned, of course, monthly events, new heroes, more dungeons and challenging stages, real-time arena, guild wars, guild dungeons, etc., which is really, really important for the healthiness of the game. So it looks like they're fulfilling on almost every single one of those so far. Now, I do think that they mentioned that Guild versus Guild, a PvP type game mode, was going to come in the first couple of months. And so I'm a little sad to see that. But honestly, I am much more positive about the game than just, oh, Guild versus Guild isn't coming. It's Guild versus Environment and RTA. We expected Guild versus Guild to come out in the first couple of months. And it's now on month 2 of soft launch, or since global launch happened, about 2 months and a week since global launch actually ended up launching on January 17th. So we're a little bit into the launch of the game, and we wanted to see Guild vs. Guild soon. Now, we weren't expecting Real-Time Arena until farther into 2022. Like the last half of the year is kind of what we were expecting. But seeing that Real-Time Arena is going to show up the next 2 months, as well as the Guild Dungeons, it looks like, because they said Guild vs. Environment, which means it's going to be a PvE game mode, and then they mentioned Guild Dungeons here. So it looks like it'll be maybe a Guild boss, and then, or not necessarily a Guild boss, but perhaps like a group dungeon type mode, or maybe a group labyrinth type mode. If you've never played Summoner's War, you kind of go through, send in your squads, and you go through this little maze and fight all your different boss battles and try to unlock the full maze. Which is pretty cool. So maybe it'll be like that. Unsure. Again, we don't have too much information about any of that. But what does this mean for the game overall? And like, why are we getting these game modes now? Well, first thing is Guild vs. Environment is going to be super fun. It's going to encourage people to kind of work on their guilds even more. It's going to obviously give a reason for people wanting to try hard and kind of moderate their guilds. Because currently, if you have a really hardcore guild, you barely get any advantage to a really lackluster guild that doesn't play ever. And the reason for that is the only advantage that you really get is, one, you're going to get a little bit extra guild tokens per day. It's very, very minor, and it doesn't really add up too much. Although, I mean, I guess it does over a large period of time, but it's really not huge in the grand scheme of things. And then the second thing is that whoever has the largest damage on the guild boss is going to unlock the higher tier chests for the group of the guild boss, or the guild rather. And when you open that chest, you have higher tier rewards, which is really cool. That's the only thing you're getting right now. Guild versus environment is going to add the extra competitive feature in guilds, not necessarily between guilds, but the want for guilds to be at least moderating their own and looking for active players. I imagine it's going to be a group effort, and the more active players you have, the more rewards you're going to be getting out of the guild versus environment, which is really, really important. And so this gives definitely a motivation for that to happen, which is huge. Really, really like those cooperative game modes, and I'm glad to see it's actually a PvE game mode. I was excited for guild versus guild personally, but I'm actually more excited for guild versus environment, if I'm being honest. I'm a PvE person in general, so I love to see this, as well as mixing it with an extremely important PvP game mode, Real-Time Arena. So I'm going to jump in here and talk about Real-Time Arena because for those of you that don't know, Real-Time Arena is something that you basically launch a queue. You're going to jump into a presumably pick ban phase. This is based off of several other games. It's like Summoners War, like Epic 7. You're going to jump into a pick ban phase where you're going to pick in draft pick, where you pick one character, the enemy picks another two characters or whatever. And then you go through, and then at the end, one person bans out the enemy character, and you're going to ban out one of the enemy's characters, and you end up with 4 characters at the end. And the whole goal of this is obviously to stimulate the fact that you're actually fighting against players in real time. So you're going to be using your abilities in real time, you're going to be drafting in real time, you're going to be fighting in real time, and this is massive for the game. Generally, real-time PvP game modes don't have a crazy amount of rewards, at least from my experience, but what they do have is very, very cool cosmetic type items, as well as prestige and the ability for people to be on the top of the world, essentially. So a motivation for people to spend money, motivation for people to continuously farm, and motivation for people to just log in every day and perhaps maybe do their daily battles, or maybe just try to make sure that they're remaining competitive in Real-Time Arena. Huge, huge idea for the health of the game for the future. Currently, there is, if I'm being honest, there isn't too many pieces of content that will keep people sticking around for a long time. This game actually is very, very similar from a content perspective to Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends doesn't really have anything in the mains of PvP game modes. They have Arena, and then they have Tag Team Arena, but they don't have a Real-Time Arena. Their Guild versus Guild is not an actual game mode that you compete in realistically. So this game is very similar to that, and it's much easier to go through all the PvE content. So when people reach the end in Raid Shadow Legends, they usually just end up quitting the game, or they're very, very into the game and they continuously farm every day. It's the same thing with this game mode. Once you finish all the PvE content in the game, excluding Mythic Tower, because that's currently not achievable for anyone. So once you finish, Hard Tower, all the dungeons, there really isn't anything for you to do except for farming dungeons every day. And unfortunately, that's just not really interesting for a lot of people. They don't want to sit there. They don't want to farm and potentially upgrade new gear. After 1,000 runs, they'll upgrade one piece, and it's an average piece for their account because they farm for so much. That's pretty much the reality of the situation right now in the game. So having a game mode like Real-Time Arena gives meaning for people to farm the dungeons, getting better gear, as well as searching for those better units and unlocking every unit in the game, as well as summoning units to get all the ascensions for them. Now, many people have already gotten every character in the game and gotten all the ascensions for them and things like that, except for maybe the LD units. But all I'm saying is this is basically a huge, huge motivation and incentive for people to go ahead and play the game and farm the gear. Because, as I mentioned, what were we farming gear before for? It's just Mythic Tower, and there really isn't anything too exciting about that, because even if you farm some insane levels of gear, the game mode is still unachievable, so it's just not a realistic goal for most people. So Real-Time Arena is going to change that, and overall, if they end up fulfilling this announcement and release Real-Time Arena in the next 2 months, which I don't see why they wouldn't, anything that they've actually announced officially in their updates or their official Discord, they pretty much followed through on completely. I can't think of a single one that they've officially announced and not followed through. So in the next 2 months, we should be expecting Real-Time Arena in Guild versus Environment. I imagine Guild versus Environment is going to come out just before. I imagine Real-Time Arena is going to come out after. What does this mean in regards to updates in the future in the next literal 2 months, and what we should be expecting? Well, first off, I think that there's a couple things here. First off, we can expect new heroes. I think this is all speculation, of course. I think we can expect new heroes. I think this is very, very important to have a healthy RTA, a real-time arena, that is. Without the more units, the kind of stale or figured out the RTA meta becomes. Even if you have a ton of units, it still can become that, as well as unlocking some really broken comps without the potential for counterplay in regards to new units. So I can expect new units for the next couple of months. Obviously, the new events are going to be coming out. More dungeons and challenging stages. I think we can actually expect perhaps a new dungeon or perhaps an expansion of the current dungeon system in the next couple of months. Now, obviously, this is complete speculation. I have no idea if this is really going to happen, but I think that if they decide to go ahead and release RTA in 2 months, they probably want to kind of up the gear farming rate in order for us to compete in RTA, as well as perhaps add new additional gear sets, things like that, for RTA to be a more healthy and rounded up game mode. So I think this is actually something that we could actually expect. Now, granted, that again is complete speculation, and of course, we're going to expect guild versus environment and PvP coming out. And these are just things to prep us for RTA. So what should you be doing over the next couple of months? Well, for one, if you don't have your Stage 12 dungeons farmed and on lockdown, absolutely make sure you're able to farm at least Ash and Queen. Those are the two most important. If you cannot farm Witch, that's not a big deal. It's not a huge deal for PvP. Gemini is, but unfortunately, there's no real reason to farm or no way to farm Gemini without Gengello. So perhaps, that will be changed in the future, or perhaps there will be a new unit that will help us do that. But you should be farming your dungeons daily, making sure you have those dungeon teams on lockdown, as well as making sure you're prepping your guild for the competitive, or at least more competitive game modes that are coming. So if you're not in a competitive guild already, or some guild that's actually playing actively, I recommend that you do look for one at this point, making sure that you're at least leveling up your guild to the maximum levels that they have currently, because that might have something to do with the guild versus environment. And then, of course, making sure that you're completing Void Tower hard every month, making sure you're stocking up on those legendary potions for RTA, just in case some new unit comes out, or maybe you pull a new unit and they turn out to be really good in RTA based on some experiences that we're having. Stockpiling resources for RTA incoming is very, very, very solid idea, especially if you've already completed at least all the PvE content in the game besides Mythic Tower and maybe Gemini Dragon if you don't have Gengello. So that's pretty much all for this video and what I'm excited about. I am very, very hopeful for this game. Very, very positive. I think this is going to be a massive, massive boost to the player base. If they figure out RTA in the next 2 months, I think this could easily shoot above Raid Shadow Legends and some of the other gacha games out there that we're kind of competing against. This will put us on the map while having some of the most quality of life features that I've seen in any gacha game, as well as being very free-to-play friendly. And then adding the competitive RTA mode is just a cherry on top that's actually going to keep players around for the long term. So very excited, very positive. Let me know what you all think in the comments down below. Let me know if you're going to be competing in RTA or you're just going to stick to the PvE game modes. Whether or not you like PvE or PvP, this is something for everyone, which is exciting to see. So let me know what you think, and I will see you for the next one.